see what it does.
It says we are live.
It says we are live. Let me quickly just fire up the backup window on here. Let me just mute that. Cool. Yeah. Twitch. Because I think today might be a little bit more interesting than normal days because we might have a few more people joining us.
Well, yeah.
So let us see. Cool. It's not yet live on Twitch. Let me just double check. And there we go. We are live.
It's called eventual consistency, so...
Yeah, no, streaming does take a little bit of time. Don't worry. Cool. And yes, we are live. I will keep an eye on it here on the right. Sweet. So welcome, everybody. And to another week's session show episode of the AWS Africa Office Hours, where we try and answer your technical questions and also talk about AWS.
Yeah.
So today is probably a little bit different. Let me just quickly pop this up here. Since we are running the AWS Dev Day at the moment. And we are focusing on modern application development. So we have been telling a couple of people to come join us and ask us questions. So for today, I think if you have any questions about the AWS Modern Dev Day, let me quickly pop that link for you on the screen. For those that haven't actually seen any of the details about it, where do I have my link?
Yeah, there should be a link somewhere. And it's currently ongoing. We did have a few of the events just passed, but if you missed them, there's going to be recordings of them, so for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I have it. Let me quickly create a little banner for it here. Boom, enter. There we go. So for those that are interested, this is the event that's currently running. So I can highly recommend click on the link and, well, okay, let me actually paste the link in the chat as well for those, because you can then go check out the agenda quickly and see what sessions are available, and also link to Dev Day. There we go. Cool. You can also then, like I said, feel free to ask us about any of the topics that we have seen there today. So for those that are online, and I see a couple of you, say hi to us in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from, because even though this session is called the AWS Africa Office Hours, we don't limit questions and discussions just to the people that are from Africa. We just schedule it in a time-friendly zone for Africa in general. So please throw questions, shout out, tell us where are you from. And Darko, I believe your 2 sessions have just completed.
I believe they did.
How did it go?
I'm very happy. So I had 2 sessions right now. One of them was on the topic of developer tools, or like a deep dive into developer tools, and the second one was about a bit advanced concepts, quote unquote, on AWS CDK. So it's been fun. So far, I had a lot of good positive feedback from everybody. First of all, I would like to thank everybody, if you're on this stream, for watching my sessions, for devoting time to my sessions. I appreciate that quite much. So yeah. Hey, thank you, Graham. Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
When we have somebody from Texas joining, wow. Pretty early.
Man, I was in Austin for about a month in, I think, the end of 2014, because I remember the 2015 New Year's Eve party banners.
Okay.
And I still have the boots from then. They're a little bit worn. But I definitely on my next trip, or whenever I get access to Amazon.com again, well, inside the States, just for clarification, I'm definitely going to get me some boots again. They are so comfy.
Yeah. I mean, did you get like the cowboy boots thing?
Oh, yes. No. I went all in, like the cowboy boots with the Texas flag on them type thing. Yeah.
Big old belt buckle.
Yeah. No. Let's let me actually wait. Let's just see if I can find them quick. Give me a second, because they were epic.
You know what we should have done during this entire thing? We should have made a live commentary on the Dev Day. We should just like play Dev Days here and comment on how bad the presentation is. Like, oh, look at this, Darko. What is it? What?
Darko, why is there a shadow in your backdrop? I see a shadow.
There's no shadow in my backdrop. No.
I'm joking. For those that are curious about that little joke, is for the Dev Day, we've got very strict recording requirements that force us to have a white backdrop. So I know Darko's got a pop-up one, but what I actually do, and I've got a video that I'm going to post, I just need to get a nice funny comic video music clip for it, is all of these posters, they get taken off the bookshelf, that side, get swiveled to the side, and I zoom in just enough so that you can't see any of the other stuff around me. And then I just go back all this way like this, move the mic, which is this one, all the way back with me, and then all of a sudden I've got a white studio. So it's quite entertaining.
I have a full-on setup here next to my, well, can I show it? I'm wondering is there anything. Okay, actually, it's missing. It's currently missing the white backdrop, but this is the. Ooh, my camera went away.
Oh, you broke your camera.
Yeah,
You see.
I should be back in a second. There we go. The USB cable is not the best thing in the world. Let's try this again.
Oh, you 50 second, yeah.
This is the recording setup. You have the ring light here thing. Yeah, this is where I put my laptop. This is the screen I watch my presentation on, and I sit there. So, but behind me comes like a big old white drop. So, yeah, that is my setup there. But
Okay.
I moved it until I start recording for Reinvent.
Yes, the next fun one. Just quickly, I actually found the exact boot that I had.
Did you?
So I just want to pop it on the screen. So yes.
Oh, wow. Wow. You went all in, man. You really did went all in.
No, well, there's no point in doing it half-assed.
Yeah, no, I agree. How do we say it? Insist on the high standards, right? So
Definitely,
absolutely.
Yes.
Cool, man. Welcome everybody.
And Valis, I'm glad to say that we can at least entertain you as your backup option. It sounds like you don't really want to be here. It's like,
yeah.
Don't worry, we still like you, even though you prefer our recorded sessions and not our live selves. But it's fine.
That's okay. That's okay as well. Oh, I see somebody commenting with Commodore logos. Yes, I have a big old Commodore poster. I have a Commodore. I have an Amiga. I have a Amiga monitor next to me, and I'm all for it. I even have a coaster of a Commodore 64. My first PC, my first computer, and I love it because I'm immensely thankful for it for making me what I am right now, or making me interested into computers. That's why all the C64 things exist. But yeah.
What else is going on? Let me think quickly. Oh, just quickly for that comment about, for my feet. Yes, I actually have some very broad, flat feet. So I normally have to get either 10.5 or 11.5. I've got odd feet in the sense that I don't really have a bridge. I've got these are just like flat. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it makes things interesting. But, okay, I suppose we should be talking about tech a little bit more.
We just talked about
Tech assets. Yes, okay.
Wow.
That's pushing it a little bit much. But I mean, I think because we're starting to look at some of the stats already, and one thing that came out and stood out, and was the same with the EMEA one, is that the microservices and event-based type architecture talks are super popular, which is understandable given the way the world is moving at the moment. Sorry, quick question over here, which is why aren't the dev days being done on Twitch? It is a long story, many complications around it. I think a super short summary of this is that Twitch in general is for live, and with these large-scale events, we tend to pre-record the videos specifically because it's better for us to be available to answer the questions as we go along, and different ways just to interact with our customers. I think that's like a very, very, very super short condensed version without any of the actual context and details. But yeah, there are reasons for it. And
we understand the frustrations. We understand the frustrations with the platform today. You're not the only ones. So, but to be honest, a lot of people went through. I mean, looking at some numbers we got, how many people viewed, it's good, right? So, but we wish there was no issues like this on this platform.
Yes, but tomorrow morning, as in not a part of the morning, the whole morning, we will be streaming. Yeah. We've got a 4 or 5 hour streaming block tomorrow morning to take additional overflow questions from today's session. So if you have any questions, please come back tomorrow as well. If you watch some more of the sessions, we will be making those recordings available to the people that did register. So just don't worry about that. And also, we are looking at how we can actually, put those videos up somewhere else that make them easier to get at. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as click post to YouTube. We've got a couple of internal processes because this is an official event, but we are trying. And yes, we are aware that there are some issues with today's streaming, so we apologize for that. We're sorry.
So make sure. I mean, the sessions will be available to you recorded one way or the other. So if you register, you should get all the recorded sessions if you want to rewatch it. But what Kobe said, tomorrow, here's the thing. We got a lot of questions from you during our sessions. So throughout all the sessions, you sent questions and we all received them. There's going to be a live Q&A today coming up at, what time is the Q&A? I think it's at 3 o'clock. It's at, no, it's 1:20 p.m. So in an hour and a half. Or an hour and 10 minutes, actually. We have a live Q&A where we're going to answer the questions on the same platform, right? That being said, but tomorrow we're going to take more questions. So tomorrow morning, European, South African time, we're going to be doing live on Twitch here. So feel free to join us and ask us questions there as well. We would love to keep, and we'll try to reference the questions from the day before, just because answering questions to a single person is cool, but it's also great that you can share the answer with other people. So we're going to potentially get all the coolest questions from yesterday, or actually, sorry, from today, and bring them also tomorrow as well. So that is kind of one of the points. Let's actually address some of the questions here. We do have a bunch. Adrian Morningstar. This is a very philosophical question, Mr. Adrian. Hi guys, do you think what do you think will be the best thing after serverless? I wish I knew so I can invest. But I really don't know. Like, I mean, you know, some people would come and say, "Hey, it's machine learning," but that's not the same ballpark, right? It's technology, but it's not. That has nothing to do with it.
My money would be on edge computing if I had to put anything, because part of, I mean, with serverless, you're already getting very responsive distributed computer systems and being able to easily build modern applications. Now, if you take that, the next thing is, so makes it easy to build them. The next step will be then, you know, we want things faster because that's always a customer requirement. And the only way to get faster in this scenario is to get the actual processing closer to the end user, which is edge devices. That's just my thought, at least with regard to computing, if I had to, you know, throw money at it.
I agree. I mean, you know, Internet of Things are important, and having things at the edge is super important as well. So because we are all looking into, hey, not Cobus, but I am the millennial generation. We want things happening everything right now, right? So we want things to be super instant, super close. So even millisecond problems are problems. Things on the edge and reacting super fast to your smart devices, to your whatever kind of devices I think it's very important. And to explain to Niliam, what is serverless? That's a good question to propose here. If I'm not sure if all people here know what is serverless. We kind of expect that people know what is serverless, but that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So, what is serverless? Serverless is a way to run your compute resources, run your applications, run your workloads, run your websites, run your whatevers on AWS, on the cloud, without having to worry about servers and any underlying infrastructure such as that, right? So there's no provisioning servers, there's no patching, there's no maintaining, there's no scaling or whatnot. You rely on serverless applications. You rely on serverless elements that will basically run your code in the cloud, irregardless without you having to worry about it. Like it kind of takes the whole shared responsibility to a different level, right? You only worry about your code and nothing else.
And I mean, specific examples of this is if you look at AWS Lambda, which is a function as a service, where you literally write a little function in terms of the business logic code in there, and then decide how you want to, what you want to do with it. And you don't have to, when you do that, that's it. You don't have to worry about, deployments and all of that other stuff. And also this whole suite of services that we refer to as serverless, not just this actual, the code that you would put somewhere. It's like, for example, DynamoDB, where you only deal with the actual table. You design the table, you put your data in it, and that's it. You don't have to maintain the server, scale the server. There are obviously some performance knobs that you can pull in terms of read and write performance that you want, and you can pre-provision if you want. But there's nothing like installing or managing it. Similar with our AI ML services, Amazon Recognition. You make one API call, send it an image, that image is processed, and you get back, firstly, what's in the image, like a person, a cow, a dog, or horse, and also some additional metadata, like is the person smiling, do they have a beard, etc. Lots and lots of extra information. So those are kind of like, think of it the easiest way is that you are doing something by building code or using code, but there's no server that you have to maintain. And also, usually the pricing model is on a per consumption basis, not on a per running time basis. Yeah,
exactly. So, I would say the serverless is the thing. If you are currently building a new application, if you are opting to build something new, approach it in the serverless way, because I mean, you will save yourself a lot of headache. If you're coming from a traditional background, right, or a back end, it may take you some time to kind of wrap your head around it, how it works. But once you get into it, man, I would not create anything unless I absolutely need that is not serverless.
Yeah,
I mean,
so it's just like it's less effort. I mean, overall, I mean, you're already focusing on writing code and solving business problems. You shouldn't be focusing and wasting more time on anything else, because remember, at the end of the day, whatever you're building has got some kind of feature that you want to have your end users use. They don't care about how you run in the background. They just want to use your product. And if you're spending hours and days or hiring 5 or 10 people running that for you, guess what? You're not building features. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Let me quickly pop this one up from Beliswa. I've got just want to double check with her the question. Sorry. Let me just click here. Wait, where'd the question go? There we go. Question around the AWS operational responsibility models chart. Doesn't include any containers. Now, I'm assuming it is, let me just, oh, no, wait, this one, where's the archive? There we go. There's the archive. That it's this image. Let me just take this away quickly. That you're referring to, please let us know in the chat if you are referring to this one, where we can see, for example, that there's no mention of containers here specifically. I think the reason there is that if you think of it, that's just another function of compute. So how you run your app inside the container is entirely up to the customer, and that would be the responsibility of the customer. Where if you're using something like, for example, ECS, where we provide the backplane and the actual controlling of how the containers are scheduled, keeping that service up and running, secure, scaled, and all of those things is definitely AWS's responsibility. Similar with EKS, which is a managed Kubernetes service. Okay, cool. Thanks, Feliswa. I might be able to get hold of that presentation.
Okay. Yeah. I think I've seen that somewhere on somebody's screenshot on Twitter. I think I've seen that thing. I'm trying to see if I can figure it out quickly, but I don't think so. I think I would need to scroll through a lot of Twitter to get through that. But okay. But unless Kobus can dig up the presentation right now, or at least the slide. Yeah,
I'm chatting to Chris now directly. Sorry, that's one of those things.
Yeah, but thank you for the questions. While you do that, I'm going to answer a question from Siltax here. Cool. Siltax asks, are there limits regarding the services AWS offers that can be deployed with help of CDK? For example, when going onto IoT and updating edge devices. So, Siltax, the limitation when it comes to CDK and what it can do is the limitations of AWS CloudFormation. So, any resource that can be deployed with AWS CloudFormation can also be deployed with AWS CDK, right? So now when it comes to deploying IoT devices per se, I'm not very much familiar with how you do those things, especially when it comes to like updating edge devices. When you say updating edge devices, do you mean updating something on them like firmware or updating the piece of software? If those things can be done through an API call, or are able to be done through AWS CloudFormation, which I'm not sure. I really don't have the confidence to say those things. They can be done. Now, what's the beauty of CDK is that it is in essence cloud. It is in essence a programming language which can use the AWS SDK. So if those things can be done through an API call, and neither CloudFormation support exists nor CDK support exists, you can always run an API call. That causes a lot of problems and complications. So maybe there is a better solution to this your idea if it doesn't exist. Now, on the extensibility side of CDK, there's this thing called, I don't have a slide for that here, but there's this thing called AWS CloudFormation Registry. CloudFormation Registry enables you to do I have an example? I think I have an example on GitHub. Let me just try to show this to you while we are waiting here. So GitHub, because CloudFormation Registry enables you to actually, I have Unicorn Factory. Yes, exactly. Cool. So let me share my screen now. I'll grab the screen away from Cobus. This one, share.
While I get it.
No, that's fine. So this is an example of a CloudFormation registry code that basically gives you the ability to define your resources or how you create resources with CloudFormation from anything, right? Because you create completely custom resources to CloudFormation using a language such as Golang, Java, or Python, and that gives you the ability to, create whatever you want. Like, you can deploy. In this case, I deploy unicorns from an API gateway or something, right? Like that. So
Can you make the text a little bit bigger? Sorry.
it doesn't really matter. So this is some Go code that basically runs like a create function and all those things. So okay, so there's a question here from Siltax. So I'm talking about Greengrass core devices which are using some Lambda on edge function, which are available through some API. Well, so in that sense, I see no reason why not, right? If those things if you are able to deploy those things through CloudFormation, right? And again, I'm not 100% sure if that's possible. I think that this should be possible. This should be not a problem in CDK. And if you actually watch my presentation on the Dev Day right now, I've shown how you can actually extend CDK with all the CloudFormation capabilities, because CDK has some things missing that doesn't support natively, but you can actually extend it with CloudFormation directly from the code. So, but yeah, sorry for the non-answer here.
No worries. I will in 1 second. I'm just quickly throwing it from the one machine to the other machine.
Okay.
Be able to bring up that presentation.
Okay. There we go.
Let's see if my copy and pasting worked. Yes. Sorry, this is one of the fun things with working with two computers at the same time. Documents. Let's just make sure I don't have something. Yeah. Where is it? No. Where's my list? Sorry. It's a little bit jarring sometimes going from Windows to Mac. Date. Yes. Cool. Okay. I can bring it up in a second. Let me just pop my screen back here. Add to stream. Okay, cool. So responsibility model. There we go. So Belisma, just quickly to dig into your question a bit, because I think it can be a very interesting discussion. Let me just get this banner out the way quickly. Boom. There we go. Is it this responsibility model chart that you were looking at, or are you referring to this next one in terms of compute? So if you can just quickly let us know about that, then we can dig into your question around where the responsibility lies with containers specifically, because obviously containers are like a super popular way of actually building and deploying applications at the moment. So it's definitely one of those. But until we get that, let me quickly pop up this question, which is, what are the job responsibilities as a developer advocate at AWS, which is quite a fun one. As we always say, there's a core set of things that you need to be doing, but it also kind of depends. The reason it depends is that the way AWS functions is that we have a lot of freedom in terms of how we want to execute our roles. Yeah. So, for example, at the moment, the thing that we as developer advocates focus on is enabling users to understand AWS better and be able to build systems on AWS, which means that there are a million ways you can do it. One of the ways that Doc and myself are doing it, we are doing streams Mondays and Fridays at 11. And like for tomorrow, we're doing a full stream. We're doing this stream. We're doing different streams. We do a lot of conference talks, YouTube videos, blog posts, actually chatting to people directly. I mean, there are a million ways.
But one of the more things we do, and I always like to represent this, is that our job is to be your voice within AWS, right? So we are your advocates. We advocate for your well-being, for your enjoyment of the use of the platform. So anytime you have a problem with AWS or with a service or you wish it to be improved, let us know. We don't know all the answers by far. If we knew all the answers, well, that would be a different thing. But we can take your question, take your comments, take your feedback, and put it to the right people. So, and a lot of times that kind of helps, because people ask us, we speak to service teams, we speak to product teams, and they like, okay, we would love to get feedback from customers on X or Y. And sometimes we will proactively reach out to you, our customers, saying, hey guys, do you want to help us test out this feature? Or would you like to speak to the product team about this and that? Because they would like to get more input. So it is very important to us to be as close as possible with you developers, engineers, our audience. So yeah, so it is a super fun job.
No, I can definitely echo that. I'm really, really enjoying it. And just quickly, because I see there are a couple of questions around this. The next one being, what are the requirements to be a developer advocate? So first requirement is technical background.
And you
quite
need to
deep.
be bald as well.
Bald and bearded. Sorry, yeah. So that's the minimum requirement. No, we're just kidding. So the whole point of this role is to help people understand AWS better. And sometimes that will be hard if you don't have, for example, a development or sysadmin or technical background of some kind. Because imagine I come to you and I want to tell you about AWS, and I tell you about this great service, and you ask me, okay, cool, but how exactly does that part work, and how would you approach this architecture given these things? And I go like, let me go ask someone else quickly. That's not a good customer experience, and also that breaks down trust. Because remember, AWS wants to be the most customer-centric company in the world. That's our goal. We focus on customers where customers are obsessed, which means that we want to be honest with you, and we want to make you trust us. And we don't build trust by tricking you. So part of that is we are actually experts. We've been built. I mean, myself, I've been developing for 16, 17 years now, I think. And I mean, Docker has also got extensive. And I mean, this is just like, if you look at LinkedIn formal coding, we all fiddle with things, and long before we started coding, build things and put things together.
I mean, we all kind of come from those things, right? So we come from the IT, and the thing is, like, one of the things we're looking for developer advocates is that in essence, you need to be a nerd in a very positive sense. You need to be excited by technology. You need to be excited by those kind of things, because our job used to be called, instead of developer advocate, used to be called a developer or technical evangelist, right? So we are here to inspire you to use more tech, to use technology, to play around with technology. So how can we inspire you to do tech if we are not inspired by tech? So that is something, when you see a little thing, and like somebody, like if somebody comes to you and shows you something like, I don't know, this, you need to be excited about this, right? You don't have to care what this is, but you need to be excited about it. So those two things.
We've got a few more here. Quickly, let me pop them on the screen. So more stress pressure, especially with live stream. Specific question. Sorry, it was a follow-up from the spot. There we go. How's COVID? Well, COVID has obviously affected us into the sense that we don't travel at the moment. So usually we do a lot of live presentation in person, on stage, at events, meetups, those kind of things. So we've completely switched to digital now, because obviously we don't want to get sick ourselves, but also more importantly, we don't want to make our customers risk themselves by getting sick. It's kind of like a fairly serious one when you think about it. It's like, if you host an event at the moment and you go to that event as a customer of that company and you get sick, that's not a scenario you want to entertain. It's like, it's no. So, yeah.
Exactly. So it has changed a bit. I must say, Satya, we used to spend a lot of time with on events, on user groups, on community meetups. And my personal experience is I really miss seeing people in person. I really miss speaking to developers. It's amazing that we can speak to you through chat and this is that all, but hey, nothing beats a handshake. So I am really missing those kind of things. So we are really looking for that kind of a thing to come back at one point. So, and I can say that our work has increased. Our workload has a bit increased since the plague began, because basically we can do this every day, all day. So there's kind of like a lot more opportunities to speak to you all, which is good. I'm not complaining by any means. So,
but I mean, one of the things that's kind of caught me the most with going digital is when you're doing a presentation to an audience, you can literally, because you keep an eye out for how people are reacting to what you're saying, and depending on what that reaction is, you change your actual talk as you go along. It's not like we've got a memorized talk, like I will say the following things. It's like literally like they're nodding along to this part, so I can go a little bit faster because I see, or hey, I see a lot of frowns on this one part. Let me dig into that a little bit deeper and see if I can turn the frowns into nods or things like that. So it's like, it's a very interactive process. It's not just here's my stuff, blah blah blah. So I understand I miss that part, and it's hard with virtual to do that.
The thing I miss the most is I cannot ask a question. I like to do my presentations by asking a question. I'm like, show of hands, who has done whatever, right? And now I can, so guys, does anybody know what DevOps is? And then just, I'm missing that. I'm really missing like the interaction. But hey, it has changed, and it's a different approach, and you have to be a bit more. You need to anticipate how people should react to your talks. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So quickly, I want to run through a couple of questions. We've had one. So I've checked with Veliswa here in the chat that this is the one that she's talking about. Now, if you do look close here, I think where I would, let me just get my cursor on that one, put ECS with EC2 host, I would put not
There.
probably somewhere over here or next to Beanstalk. The reason
Yeah.
is that, remember, with ECS, when you are using EC2 hosts, there's still an operating system that is spun up that you are responsible for. There are ways to obviously make that responsibility less by using the pre-built images and just keeping them up to date and keep spinning them up and not having to worry. But still, there's an operating system that needs to be patched, which is similar to Elastic Beanstalk that also runs on hosts, but there's a little bit of automation. So actually, I would put it here between EC2 and Elastic Beanstalk. Now, however, if you go the Fargate route, which is why it's here on the right, is that there are no hosts. So with Fargate, you can launch your containers without worrying about the hosts, which is why it's obviously more to the right. So that's kind of where I would put it. So, and with EKS, it's slightly more blurry because with the cluster itself, it's not just the do I have compute capacity, there's also a bit more in terms of ingress and egress configurations and those kind of things. It's not just like here's a single container that I spun up that you have to worry about.
Yeah. I would say it's that part, right? So I think I also would say that you separate the things on ECS. You separate the control plane from the actual from the actual compute platform, because the control plane is actually completely out of your hand, right? You don't care about it. You shouldn't worry about it. But the compute part is, well, you still have to patch it and manage it and all those things. So
yeah.
So.
And then quickly, let me just go back to this view. Then we had some more questions over here. The first one, let me pop this up here, is I have an ECS cluster using Fargate, run ETL tasks. I want to use Spot instances if available, otherwise default to on demand. How would you go about doing that? Just modify? Yes. So the short answer there is you have got 14 minutes actually to still register and attend my session that is starting on the dev day. So I literally just did that. But quick summary here, what you can do is when you create the service in ECS, what will happen is that you'll see there's that button, as you mentioned, about the capacity providers. What you do there is that you add two of them. You say there's you add the normal Fargate provider as well as the Fargate Spot provider. Then you need to set the base count, but only for one of them, which is the minimum of a specific type. So for example, what you can do is you can say, in your case, you want to use Spot unless it's not available, and then use on demand. So in that case, I would leave the base at 0 and then leave the weighting at, it's about 1 and 1. So what you can do is put the weighting higher on Spot. So let's say 50 and then 1 for the Fargate ones, which means it'll try with a 50-to-1 ratio to launch Spot instances or Spot Fargate workers before it does the actual normal ones, and that way you should get that. You can obviously set it to just use Spot if you wanted to, but it sounds like you want to fall back onto normal ones if you need to. So that's one way of doing it. For another one, EFS. Oh, this is a fun one. Right, so let's dig into this a little bit. So EFS is a network-mounted file system. It's basically, from my understanding, NFS as a managed service. And when you set it up, you also specify which availability zones it should be available in by specifying the set of subnets. And part of that means that when you access it, there are two ways. One, you can use an IP, or two, you can use the DNS specific. Actually, it's no longer specific to your availability zone because the DNS will resolve to the IP inside your availability zone, not outside. So if you give us a little bit more info in terms of why the other two methods don't work.
I would say it's a DNS issue. I would say it's a DNS issue because here's the thing. Sometimes you can disable DNS resolution within a VPC. So if you have disabled DNS resolution within your VPC, it will not work. So you need to use IP addresses. I mean, if we're going to get into the details, there is a slight, but a really, really slight performance impact if you're using DNS. But when I say really slight, I mean nanosecond ones, because you need to resolve the name to the IP once, and then you have cached. So in general, there's no performance differences between using the two. So I would advise always using DNS because it's DNS, as I can say, it's DNS.com. But you should always try to use DNS compared to using static IPs. I don't trust static IPs at all. So yeah.
Only at home. We've got full control. Yeah.
But
Although
even
there
at home,
are-
I'm trying to set up like a DNS server locally too, because so many devices, so many things, and I still, from time to time, especially on like Raspberry Pis, we change IP addresses from time to time because of Wi-Fi, without the HTTP reservations. I need to kind of let me see which IP is using right now. So
Yeah, I'm actually at the point now where I've got my reservations for the most of the static devices, and I've kind of like built out blocks. But I'm heading to a point where normal /24 seems not quite big enough for what I want to do, because just a bit of context, I think I've got something like 17 or 19 wired devices already. I've got one of those nice big 24 port switches. And in terms of Wi-Fi, there's quite a lot because I've got a lot of toys and things that I play with. Getting to questions quickly. This I definitely want to pop on the screen for those that are interested. The India AWS Community Day is happening tomorrow.
So many registrations. Love it. So many people.
Yeah, I know, it's huge. It's
huge. Yeah.
More than 20. They hit 20,000 like a few days back already.
And why a Community Day? Community Day is amazing because it is an event delivered not by AWS. We don't organize it. It's organized by the AWS community. So in this case, it's the Indian user groups. And they're organizing an event with, I would assume that there is some speakers from AWS, but it's basically people from the AWS community delivering a lot of different talks. So if you want to hear different perspectives on AWS from people actually using AWS, community days are just amazing. So make sure to register and check it out tomorrow.
Okay. Let's have a look here quickly. So just a question here around sharing that PDF slide deck. I can't share that right now. The reason is that we do send out a follow-up mail with the actual event, and also just in terms of what do you call it? Sorry, it's not being polite to someone else, but it's not my deck to share. It's actually Chris's deck. So Chris has got I think speaker deck profile, so keep an eye on that, and she'll be sharing it, because in general it's we don't grab someone else's deck and just put it public unless we organize, and she'll definitely make it public at some point, so don't worry about that. Let's have a look here quickly. Questions, comments. Here we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. More information about that. Let me quickly pull up a link for you. There's definitely AWS EFS Lambda. That one is actually quite important, because this allows you to share config files between them, between the Lambda functions, as well as, let's say for a long-running Lambda, for whatever reason, you can persist some data to it and then pass things around between the different Lambda functions, etc. Let me quickly grab that. Yes, I've got it. Sorry, there we go. There's the blog that Arcane is referencing. So I've pasted that out there for you as well. Yeah. I want to say that it looks like we've caught up with the questions again. So please keep the questions coming. Like I said, we are here to help your technical questions, or to help answer your technical questions, and otherwise be slightly entertaining. It's 37 minutes in. So I do see we've got a couple of new viewers, so welcome. This is the AWS Africa Office Hours session, but we are not limiting it to Africa. We accept questions from anywhere, so please give us a shout out to tell us where you're joining from, and if you have any technical questions, AWS questions, and when I say AWS, like how's it working at AWS? What about XYZ? What's the culture, etc.? Those kind of things. We're more than happy to chat about them as well. So let's quickly check. Let's see. Cool. I just received a DM on Twitter. Let me check.
Okay.
Twitter is going to be. I've got 7 minutes left before my Twitter will become unusable for a short period of time.
Yeah. Usually what happens was when we do these presentations, especially big ones, Twitter blows up. People see that you're presenting, and like you start following you and messages, and we appreciate that so much. So we are by no means complaining about that.
Cool, awesome. Just quickly, I'm just trying to figure out the DM that you sent me. Is that on Twitter or LinkedIn or what platform? Because like I said, it's at the moment a little bit hard to figure out where people are pinging me from. I'm trying to keep an eye on it, but it is one of those fun days where it's like lots and lots of messages. Let's see. No, it's not on LinkedIn. It's not on Twitter.
You'll get it somewhere.
Whisper on Twitch. Oh, okay. Wait, that I can actually go check. That's the one place I would not have checked. So thank you for telling me. Let's see. I don't know how Twitch messaging. Oh wait, whispers. Oh. Here we go. Oh, okay, I see. Yes.
Yeah, that's a feature of Twitch that I have not been using a lot, but I did get a lot of messages from some people on it,
Yes.
so that's pretty
Awesome.
cool.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Let me quickly. This is actually a very nice thing. Let me just quickly pop this into Bitly to make it a little bit more friendly. Sorry, it's a link to, for those interested in developer advocate positions, there are quite a number available at the moment. Let me quickly paste the long URL, and then wait for it to become shorter. AWS DevRel positions. So Bitly is awesome if you want to shorten links. It's literally one of those, it's the first one that I've actually used. So I don't know if there are other ones or better ones. It's just the first one. DevRel jobs. Let's see if I can save this. Is it available? Oh, it's been taken. Then what you do is you put in another dash because nobody will use it. Oh, there we go. With 2 dashes, and I can pop it in here. Boom, there we go. So there's the link to and you can obviously use the filter to take a look at the list of jobs over there. The one that I do want to highlight, which I'm happy to say pops up at the top of the search, is a developer advocate position for Sub-Saharan Africa. We're looking for someone to join the team. So that's what I'm doing, is the dev relations position for Sub-Saharan Africa. So if you have any questions, I can definitely tell you exactly what my interpretation of the job entails.
Exactly. And also, we're hiring for a position. If you're a Russian-speaking person who can do developer advocacy, do let me know, because we're hiring somebody for a Russian region. So you don't have to be based in Russia. Doesn't matter. Just let us know if you're Russian speaking. If you have what it takes to be a developer advocate, feel free to reach out to me directly or Kobus. It doesn't matter. So we have a few positions open. We could always use more people in our lovely team. And definitely when it comes to work, I always tell to people, like, when they ask me about my position, my job, I always tell them this is the best job I ever had by far. Like, I've never had as a good a job as this one. So so it is really great. All right, we have a few more questions. Thank you all for the questions. Adrian Morningstar, how do you convince your customers to migrate to serverless or AWS managed services instead of a lift and shift virtual machines? It's the cost. No, okay, and it's it's the cost. But there's a lot more to it.
So I can actually let me think about that. So lift and shift is not a bad way to start off with. Just remember, if you're lifting and shifting, you are effectively just using someone else's data center to an extent. And while there's already, if you just do that with AWS, there's a cost benefit to it, because you've got a lot more flexibility to right size your instance. So you can tweak it up or down a bit, change the instance family types, which is something not many people are aware of, which is we have got more than 270 different instance families. So generally when you spin up, for example, a M5 instance, that's general purpose. The M indicates general purpose. And there are things like the C family, compute optimized, R family, memory optimized, I family, storage and IOPS optimized, etc. There's a whole long list of different family types. And just by using that, you already can save money. But what I would do there is that once you have your service running inside an EC2 instance, which I'm assuming the lift and shift part is here, is you can use an application load balancer with specific paths to actually send traffic to a different service. So you don't have to send everything into your EC2 instance, which you just lifted and shifted. You can, for example, go build a couple of Lambda functions and use those to do certain processing capabilities and do different things. And literally in the application load balancer, just say, okay, / so the path of where to send them, you can send those requests to the Lambda function. Everything else still goes to EC2. So that's one way I would approach it to show the value, is like maybe build a small little extra feature, expose it via that way, because everything else is still working on the old system. But now you can say, well, look, and then you can start looking at the cost and the performance and all the other data points, because getting data is normally what helps people make decisions and convince them to actually do things differently.
Yeah. And again, what I said, it's cost. I mean, cost is one part, but there's a good, valid reason to lift and shift, right? There's absolutely a reason why you should lift and shift. If your goal is time to market, if that's your KPI, how long does it take you to go to market? Lift and shift is the best option, right? Just rip out everything you have and move it to the cloud. So it's not just always like, oh, let's re-architect to serverless. Yeah, absolutely. If you can spare the time, if your time is okay to be doing that, then fine. But if that's not the case here, lift and shift is valuable. And when it comes to like, justifying people or trying to explain to people why managed services are better than rolling your own, try speaking to the right people. That's my always thing. My biggest comment. Try speaking to the right people, because when I say the right people, I mean people who have sometimes managed systems, because they know what it takes to manage a system. And we're all proud. And this is a very common thing in IT, that we're all proud with the way we build things. We're all proud with the way we run things. And it was better in my time. But you still have the war wounds from running infrastructure.
Sleepless nights.
Exactly. 4 a.m. calls and those things. And one of the things that managed infrastructure gives you, and serverless things, is that a lot of those things can be avoided. And
not just avoid it, but also you don't have to live with your mistake. If you make a mistake, change it.
Yeah.
Couple of clicks.
Like turning it on and off again is really a thing you can do in the cloud. Like, I've seen people break infrastructure, and they would just, we're going to have a 1 hour downtime, tear everything down, and spin it back up with CloudFormation. Done. It works, right? It's that kind of a thing that you can do. You have this big old reset button that's available to you, and you have so much different flexibilities. And at the end of the day, and I had arguments with people about this. Your infrastructure, how you build your servers and data centers and whatnot, in most cases does not make your company better, right? Unless your business is hosting data centers, right? Does not make your product better. If you're serving an application, if you have like an application that, I don't know, charges parking or whatever, your application is not that better that you have better servers or clusters of things. Your application is better the way you make it. So why not focus on actually building application and building your logic, building the things that make your application different and better, instead of worrying about, I'm going to spin up a Redis cluster by myself because I'm so cool, right? So that is kind of a thing.
Definitely. There's a follow-up question, that touched on some of this, which is what's the best way to automate, using CloudFormation, Beanstalk, or through third-party libraries? Now, this is a very broad question, and get it ready. Are you ready? It depends.
It depends.
So, let's quickly break it down. Let's start with Beanstalk quickly. So Beanstalk is a service that allows you to basically with very little work, deploy an application. And that application can be deployed from various languages, so Java, C#, Ruby. There's a long list where you point it at your actual code repository, and then it's able to take that code and deploy it to an EC2 instance and add application load balancers and things for you. So it automates a lot of that for you. You can even run containers with it. So that's just a way to get a single application up and running, or an application with, let's say you've got 2 or 3 containers running together. There's no specific limit that says Beanstalk can only do X number of containers in the manifest that you specify. But at that point, you're kind of heading into microservices world, and you probably want something different that orchestrates for you instead of just spins up a certain number of containers. Then the first part of the question, CloudFormation, that's I'm assuming the automation part of infrastructure. Now, there are a couple of ways over here. And that's a very good topic to ask the two of us, because we spend a lot of time doing this and playing with it. You have got CloudFormation, you've got AWS CDK, which is a cloud development kit. You've got Terraform, Pulumi. There's a whole bunch of different ways. And the recommendation normally there is that with those type of tools, pick one, or at least pick 2, play with both and see which one resonates with you. The reason is that they're very different in terms of the approach. The end goal of this is the same, which is infrastructure as code. But CloudFormation, lots of YAML and super, super fine-grained control, but also requires a high level of detail and understanding of it. AWS CDK abstracts a whole bunch of that away from you using a coding language that you're familiar with. So it's YAML versus a coding language already. If you look at Terraform, that's their own DSL, which is JSON-like. But once again, those are different ways. So the way you build up and put things together is different. And different people think differently. So go play with all of those and figure that out.
Exactly. I mean, and the main question here, for if you would ask me this and if I have to give you an answer right now, what are you trying to automate, right? So what is the goal of automation? Is it infrastructure provisioning? Is it application deployment? Is it testing? Is it different things? So hey, if you elaborate on that, we can talk. So, but
yes. Please send us. There's another question over here. And also, if you do want to learn more about the automation, like I said, Doc and myself do a lot of this. Definitely come join us on Mondays and Fridays at 11 a.m. South African time or Central European time, which was about an hour and 50 minutes go from whatever your current time is. So
Yeah.
current time minus, let's say, about 2 hours, and you'll hit our sessions every Monday and Friday. Although we still have to figure out what's going to happen with daylight savings changeover, because you change and I don't. But we'll figure it out. We are flexible like that.
Exactly.
Another question over here, which is, we are using Glue for most of our processing. Some sources require hourly Glue jobs to run, and Glue costs have escalated as a result. At what point do we make the switch to EMR versus Glue? So this is an interesting one. I've seen this with other services as well. The big example was when you look at Redshift and Redshift Spectrum, where Redshift Spectrum allows you to run in a serverless manner, where you execute your queries and things against the data set, and there's a cost associated with the runtime as well as the amount of data that's scanned, where that's the cheapest when you start off. Then you get to this middle period where running your own cluster, even though there's a base cost associated with it, becomes cheap because you run a lot of queries frequently. And then interesting at the tail end, there's another one is where you go even past that, where you're running like massive queries and things that once again becomes cheaper for, depending on your use case. There's a lot of caveats over here. So unfortunately, just saying a short answer is like, at this point, yes. It's what I would do is like, if you're using Glue this intensively, it kind of sounds like you have your answer, which is take a look at EMR, take a look at, this might be something you want to run the whole time. Or what you could also do is reach out to a solution architect or your account manager to figure out if someone can take a look at how you're using Glue, because it might be there are different ways you can use it. There are different data types that you can use. So instead of using JSON files and CSV files, maybe look at Parquet files, because they are columnar and a lot faster to actually process when you work with the data, etc. So there's quite a lot of different ways. And also, maybe you don't necessarily, depending on what transformations you're doing, you could get away with putting that data into something like a Redshift cluster in S3. Well, no, you're probably in S3 already, but in a Redshift cluster and doing some other transformations on it over there. But it's a very broad, it depends question.
I was actually surprised how big of a benefit Parquet files give you compared to like JSON, because they're so much smaller. Like even than using CSV. CSV takes a longer time to load because a lot of overhead compared to Parquet. So Parquet is definitely a better option on that one. And Martin, Kobus, are you going to share the link to the things?
Yes, I'll bring up the cup, even though it's my show.
Okay, there you go.
So for those that haven't seen this, let me just see if I can get to focus.
Okay.
But I need to be behind it. Wait, this is hard.
I think it's the light is the problem. There we go.
There we go.
Jar. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So
we put money in there.
Cool. So you can find the link to, I think, on our Twitch channel as well. So
so I can actually quickly. Sorry, let me just quickly pop it in a different browser, because this one has a lot of other things open. Copy, close. This one. Oh, this is weird. There's now a headless browser tab in the one side. Let me pop that up quickly for those that are. There we go. There we go. Under the stuff part here. So you can just head over to my GitHub page. I've actually done this to show where all the different ones are. There's also actually an EMEA-based AMA session every Wednesday that you can attend as well. But I think basically start joining us on any of these sessions, and you'll continue to hear us advertise these. We've kind of taken it down a little bit of a notch on LinkedIn and Twitter, because it does feel a little bit like the only thing I'm telling you out there is, "Ooh, come join my live stream." So I've become very, very self-conscious about that. I still advertise it every now and again, but it's I don't want to be that people, because
a lot of people don't set notifications for themselves, like, hey, you know, let me go watch two bald guys to talk. But so sometimes a nudge from our end is like potentially good. They're saying, hey, you know, maybe you should come in and watch us talk. So we appreciate it very much if when you do. So it wouldn't be the same without you.
Master, I can see that I've got some people now starting to ping me on Twitter, so I'm assuming my session has started, which is always fun. I must say the biggest one for that was the first Awesome Day Online I did, because it was, I think, the first. I'd done a couple of talks for AWS. No, sorry, it was the Innovate AI ML one. I'd done some talks, but it's the first time I'd done an official AWS one online, and it was literally like, because it was also pre-recorded, I was sitting there ready for Q&A, and you just start seeing like ding 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 on your phone. It's just like, how am I supposed to answer all of them? So that's a challenge. And if you do ask questions on social media of us, just know that we are looking at them. We are trying to respond to everyone, but especially on days like today, we've got a few thousand people pinging us. We might be slightly slower, but that's why we also have this live stream. So
Exactly.
For those that have joined us and missed it, we are doing this the whole of tomorrow morning. So just pop onto any of, except for the YouTube, because we won't be streaming to my YouTube. We will be streaming on the official AWS Twitch. So just go to twitch.tv/AWS.
Correct. And
Cool.
yeah, we will be taking your questions there, and we're also going to be referencing the questions we got from people today. So
Yeah.
should be fun. And it's not going to be just the two of us. It's going to be two of us and some more people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm just having a look here quickly. If you've got any questions, let me just double check here. I want to double check on. So I don't see any questions on Twitter. If you have any other ones, please,
Please let us know. Please do let us know.
And also just this one, I want to pop it on the screen because we do sometimes get questions like, where does the question and comment come from? Given that we are streaming to 4 platforms at the moment, the majority are on the AWS Twitch, but some are on my YouTube and Twitch channel. And also I'm trying out Periscope. So for the 2 people watching from Periscope, thank you. The reason is I can enable it over here. I personally have never used it, so I'm assuming it's useful to some people, and let us know if what the experience is like. I'm curious. We've got about 5 minutes left, even though we are able to go over the hour a little bit. We do have the live Q&A where we will be typing furiously starting at 1:20. So I think that'll definitely be a hard cutoff. So if you've got any more questions, please keep sending it our way. And we have got one more so far.
Nagios. I remember setting up Nagios a long time. Because we don't have the story parameter store. How API Gateway works. I mean,
yeah.
So okay. Gosham or Mr. Go. When you say creation of hosts and services, do you mean like Nagios hosts and services, right? Or like specific Nagios? Because I know in Nagios you configure like hosts and services to monitor. You can, in essence, use API Gateway for this. The thing about API Gateway is just a gateway to any API. So it can be a Lambda function, it can be an EC2 instance, it can be an auto-scaling group, it can be anything that has an HTTP API listening on it, right? So if you can point it to your Nagios running on an EC2 instance, or even if it's running on your data center, yeah, you can do that, absolutely.
Oh, yes. Cool. Let's see. Do you know when EKS will support startup probe? That is an interesting question. I would go dig into our public roadmap. I know ECS is public. I'm not sure if EKS is. Let me see.
I think our container thing has. Yeah, I think it should be public, if I recall correctly.
There's a container roadmap. Yes. Let's see quickly. Issues. I see ECS. Let's see if I can add EKS to the filter. Actually, let me just put it on the screen, just because this is useful to people. So this is where I'm currently on the GitHub repo the GitHub account for AWS. So it's just /AWS, and this is the containers roadmap, and you can go look at the issues over there. So if I look over here, EKS, let's say readiness. If I can spell readiness. Let's see if there's a readiness probe. U/readiness sort of helps you on that. Being proposed. Let's have a look. When was this proposed? 12 June. And what we see over here is there are some labels on it, but there aren't any comments on it specifically.
So feel free to comment to that and contribute to those things. It's very important that you do.
Yeah, so this is a hard one. So I think to answer the question in a little bit more detail, how it usually works is that because EKS is a managed version of Kubernetes, we don't just take whatever the public version is, click deploy, and there we go. There's quite a lot of customization that goes on behind the scenes, specifically on making it scale and making it resilient and to failures and things, because things fall over the whole time. And we are taking responsibility for that. And to do that is actually quite a large engineering effort. So with regards to this readiness probe, it depends on which version of Kubernetes this came out as well. That could be influencing in terms of when it'll come out. But I do believe this is probably, I personally know this is a very useful feature in Kubernetes, so I would expect this to be a high priority item, but that's complete speculation on my part. I don't have any special insight other than that GitHub repo I just showed you. to it. Okay, so it's currently in beta. So if it's in beta, I'm assuming that would be in version 1.19. And I think we are on version 1.18 at the moment on EKS. Let's just say Kubernetes readiness.
I think 118, if I recall correctly, but I may be wrong. I'm not a Kubernetes guy, so.
Let me quickly check. There's a post on 5 August about it. I see over here. I can't actually see easily which version it is in, but yeah. And also remember, beta features are features that aren't fully fleshed. And I know with Kubernetes that a lot of the APIs that you call are the beta ones in any case. So things will change. It's Kubernetes is a very fast-moving project.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's actually, as a side note, if you want to have some fun, there's an open source, I want to say tool called Gorse. So think of source, but with a G. And what it actually does, Gorse. Have you never seen Gorse? Oh, you are in for a treat, Darko. It is very seldom that I can show Darko something new that he doesn't know about. So let's quickly go look at Gorse. Gorse. This that you see, and it generates this based off of your commit history. So what you can do over here is let's quickly say, okay, here we go. Here's a history of Python. So let me full screen that. Ooh.
Love that.
I just want to quickly, sorry, the noise, that was very loud, but we'll see it start in a few seconds. So what you can also see is the command line option. So this is where you can see the person committing how to visualize it. So you come along and you go pew, 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 and shoot things. And this is also very, very interesting, especially when you have new people joining projects and things. So over here, you can see this is the, I can't even follow the name. I know the original guy from Python, but here you can see we start getting some additional people. And how it fleshes out over time. And you can see this started in 93. So that's quite a while back. So this is, and you've got a lot of control over how to visualize in terms of like this faded flare. You can actually disable, enable it because it does get a little bit hard later on to see things. But when you hit refactoring times, that is super fun.
I've seen this visualization before, so I didn't know it was called Gorse. So it's very cool.
I know what Dark is playing with later today.
On my own repositories, which I have like one commit.
But I mean, the thing is, what I've done before is you can also use it to actually do multiple repositories. And that is where it became interesting. So I did it previously when I was a consultant and I worked at companies. It was always interesting to see when I came in, how things changed over time and just to see how many things moved around refactoring and fixing. Like I said, that's like super interesting to me. Yeah.
This is amazing. This is very soothing for me. I could watch this all day.
So you can see the project is really, really busy. So let's skip a bit. So that's 2002. This is 2011. Oh, we just missed. Wait. Let me just quickly. There was definitely some kind of big refactor over there. So let me say, we see things are moving.
Python.
Sorry, I can watch this for hours.
Yeah.
There we go. Boom. That was a massive refactor or something, or automation,
or
something happened over there. Yeah. But yeah, you can see this is.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, let's take it away before we stop talking. There we go. Cool. Can I need to stop at this side as well? Otherwise, there we go. Okay, now I can focus again. Questions, please.
Yeah.
So, I think what I'm going to do is, I don't see any questions. Let's take one or two more questions, and then I think we call it a day because we also have to prep for our office hours questions, which I think will keep
it's happening in a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, in any case, thank you all for joining. And do not forget tomorrow morning, in the entire morning time, we're going to be covering a lot of the questions from today's Dev Days. And feel free to join us and comment and chat with people. So it should be fun. We're going to make a lot of coffee. And I'm going to spend the morning here with you. So should be fun. Looking forward to that. I need to get up earlier. So
I don't have that problem.
You have
between kids and a dog. So
she
actually, she's having a nap here behind me.
Okay.
No, it's a tough life. Yeah. So please send in some more questions. Let me see if we can do one or two more questions. And otherwise, I think we'll leave it for another 3 seconds, and then we will say cheers and thank you, and come join us tomorrow.
Exactly.
Let's see. Just want to keep an eye on. Sorry, I just want to quickly open up my Twitter feed here on the side as well. It's been a bit busy. Where to go?
Thank you, Martin, as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for
pleasure. Yeah, but like I said, please keep them coming. We are literally here to try and help you. Let's take a look. I don't see that many questions.
I didn't
Okay.
get any questions on Twitter. I got just follows and I got retweets and those things. But
Yeah, but it's
no
always
questions.
worthwhile scanning it because what I like is to see what people are talking about, what do they like or not, etc. So yeah, but I think then we are
Yep.
calling it a quits for now. So please join us tomorrow, and hope this was useful in entertaining a little bit at least.
Exactly. Thank you all
Cool.
for attending the dev day, and thank you for all for attending the stream.
Yes, awesome, and yeah, hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.